We live for the undisputed welterweight title.
Of one belt, one
Yeah,
champion summons memories of iconic title holders from days long gone, like Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, and Sugar Ray Robinson.
it's just a fight call.
Today, with
They
four
doing
belts in
filler right
front,
now. We
it's easier,
just
of course, to win a
passed the
single
first
world
fight that
championship.
ended in a
But collecting
TKO.
all four belts and becoming
Some
undisputed,
nobodies.
that remains a relatively rare achievement. The first male fighter to simultaneously hold all four of the championship belts was the legendary middleweight champion Bernard Hopkins. He hopped at that in 2004. In total, there have been 9 such four-belt fighters, including 5 who have accomplished the feat over the past 2 years. 3 of those 5, Canelo Alvarez, Jamel Charlo, Devin Haney, reign as current undisputed champions. The winner of Spence
No
Crawford will
visual,
become the
just a
first
fight call.
undisputed
Just a
welterweight
fight
champion of
call.
the four-belt era. And should Crawford emerge victorious, he'll become the first male fighter to have been crowned an undisputed four-belt champion in 2 different weight classes. So exactly how have champions and pound-for-pounders Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford arrived at this point? For starters, there's the matter of weight. As the #1 ranked amateur in the USA, Spence was a welterweight when he won 3 consecutive national titles in 2009, 2010, and 2011. He was a welterweight when he fought in the 2012 Olympics. He was a welterweight when he turned pro on Shogun's in November 2012. He was a welterweight when he first became a world champion in 2017. And today, well, he's still a welterweight. Spence's success
They
as a
probably only
professional
got
has
2
come as
fights
no
on this
surprise
shit.
to those who knew him
Right?
best.
Where they doing
His
this shit.
teammates on
I'm
the
happy that they
2012
actually still
U.S.
looking for a
Olympic
child.
boxing team.
That guy.
When asked
He
to
didn't want to
identify
fight.
the
Right.
Olympics,
They literally had to make up for that nigga losing.
to a man, they all
10
answered
rounders stopped in like
Errol
4
Spence
rounds.
Jr. The southpaw from Dallas, Texas, Spence stoically and steadily rose through the welterweight ranks. In 2017 came his most severe test, the challenge of IBF champion Kell Brook in Brook's hometown of Sheffield, England. It was a close and competitive fight, but Spence's tenacity and relentless body punching ultimately proved the difference. He stopped Brook in round 11. Errol Spence Jr. was 27 years old. He was unbeaten at 22-0, and he was a world champion. He's the most feared man of all 3.
Jump in the chat. Let me know who here. Tap that like button.
Spence has
Sub
since
to the
fought and
channel.
won 6
Just a
times
fight call.
against the
No
highest level of
visuals.
opposition, including Mikey Garcia,
They in the
who
middle
was
of doing some
39
filler right now, but we're
former
gonna cover
champion
every
Shawn
fight
Porter,
from
and the
prelims to the main
unification
event.
fights Danny Garcia and Dennis Ugas. For years now, Spence has been ranked in the top 5 pound for pound, as has been Crawford.
I'm confident I'm gonna win that fight just because I feel like I'm a better fighter. I got all the tools to beat him. He's definitely a good fighter, but I feel like I'm better than him. I feel like I'm the better fighter out of us two.
Terence Crawford, 35, is 3 years older than Spence. After a highly successful amateur career, the native of Omaha, Nebraska, turned pro in 2008, 4 years before Spence did so. Crawford started as a lightweight, and in 2014, he won his first world title, defeating Scotland's Ricky Burns in Glasgow. Something Crawford and Spence have in common. They both won their first world titles on the road and in the UK. Terence Crawford was 26 years old. He was unbeaten at 23-0, and he was a world champion.
We better not show this later since they showing it now.
Previously unbeaten Yuri Ortiz.
Well, yeah, that'd be crazy if they should
Shortly
have
after,
Fact.
Crawford vacated to move up in weight. And in his first
Trying
fight
to
at
wait for
140
niggas and
pounds,
all that
he
other
won the
shit.
vacant
Like,
WBO title
they need to get
by
this
walking
shit going.
Gus Delorme. At super lightweight, Crawford was found
First fight ended in
made
TKO
6
for those
successful
who
defenses.
wasn't
In
here.
2017, he became the first
We waiting on the next fight right now.
12 years when he
It was
crushed
Reyes
Julius
versus some
Dunn.
dude who quit in the 4th or
And
5th.
otherwise in weight,
One of
another
the two.
title. In 2018, Crawford, southpaw who switches stances, jumped up to welterweight and beat Jeff Horn to win the WBO title. As he successfully defended against top-shelf opponents like Amir Khan and Shawn Porter, the pressure built for the ultimate showdown, the unification versus 3-belt champion Errol Spence Jr.
I'm very happy and excited that me and Earl came together, made this mega fight, but I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy yet. I'm happy that the fight is here, but I'm not satisfied until my hand is raised July 29th.
Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford is a super fight on several levels. First, both welterweights are universally ranked in the pound-for-pound top 5. At risk is not only their hard-earned pound-for-pound status, but also their perfect records, as well as their long-established reigns as 147-pound champion. Spence, 28-0, has been a welterweight title for the past 6 years. Crawford, 39-0, for the past 5. The winner will be acknowledged as the best fighter in a division that's arguably been boxing's best for the past several years. And it's that little matter of becoming an undisputed 4-belt champion. Over the past 19 years, only 9 male fighters have accomplished that feat.
Undisputed welterweight matchup.
Fighters must overcome potential roadblocks that can include differences in network affiliations, promotional alliances, financial demands, and the sometimes arbitrary rulings of the 4 sanctioning bodies. Boxing's world titles have been split for the past 60 years or so. When we get a chance to point to a single champion as the one and only, there's reason to celebrate. July 29 on Showtime pay-per-view, boxing will give us a night to remember. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Both special champions willing to risk everything. And only one will emerge undisputed.
What's going on, Queen Tay? There's no visual for this. Just doing the fight call. They got some filler stuff going in here. So I'm just do the fight call from start to finish. So going to see how this shit go. But no visual. First fight ended in TKO. Some no names basically, or up and comers if you will.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the T-Mobile Arena here
we
in
just
Las
waiting
Vegas.
for the start of the next fight, and I'm gonna get busy.
For this, we have a second prelim fight that is coming up.
Everybody who stopped by, I
also,
appreciate it. Tap the like button, sub to the channel if you ain't already subbed. We just gonna do a fight call, no visual. But if you can't tune into the fights, why not listen to the fights? You know, so we'll cover the fight start to finish, just and then also give the post-fight thoughts on this as well. So just something light, low key. Right now I got the sound going in the background. It's going to be an unconventional live. People going to be screaming in the background. Kind of having a fight party here at the house. Order the pay-per-view, order the pay-per-view, order the pay-per-view. It's going down. It's fight night, y'all. The welterweight championship of the world. If you can't tune in, if you can't order the fight, listen to the fight. Just bear with us. We don't control the pace of these fights. These fights is in the order of the way the PBC goes. So they taking their time after this first one, stalling, building time for more people to fill in the arena before they give the second fight. And then they also don't show the walkouts for these lower level guys. They only show the walkouts for people who really, you know what I mean? So, yeah, hang around if you can. If you can't, tap that like button while you stopping by and passing on through and sub to the channel while you stopping by and passing on through. But we're gonna cover it all, start to finish. Again, that first fight ended in TKO. Reyes was the winner. He was in the darker trunks and he was fighting a guy in brighter trunks, and he just wasn't there to return fire. Wasn't there to fight. So that fight ended early, and now they kind of like stalling for real. So we just hanging out, we waiting. Bear with us. It's gonna be a great fight call. It's a fight call for one of the greatest wars on the planet. So tune in, bear with us. And good shit. I ordered it yesterday too here, so we're gonna be watching. We're gonna be calling it in the living room and shit. And the family's gonna be coming through, and everybody gonna be sipping and chilling and turning up during the fight. So it's gonna be dope.
Main card, like every fight, all 4 fights
Oh shit!
have something interesting
I'm trying to think of what
I'm
gonna eat.
future Hall of Famer.
Just had a little bit of pizza, but I'm about to grab something else.
Fast here, but like everything from the Tejas fight to the Donaire fight.
But yeah, they're just analyzing the card right now, y'all.
Tank Davis rematch,
and
there's something interesting
after they
building
get
every
through
step of the way. And let's be honest,
stalling and
historically, on big
also
nights like this, we
still
haven't
doing
had
last
big
minute
cards like
promotion,
this, and so I'm
then
very pleased
we'll
with
get
what
into
they
the
put
next
together.
fight
You
and
mentioned
we'll call
Nonito
that
Donaire.
blow
I saw
by
your
blow.
reaction when I mentioned the Nonito
legend.
Donaire
I mean,
fight.
So we here.
come on. A guy, I mean,
We
Nonito
here.
Donaire, how many things can we say? One of the greatest Filipino fighters I've ever had the honor to
It's a
cover
fight called
as
Marathon
working
in
in
this
the space.
motherfucker.
You know, gave Inoue everything he could handle and then some in their first contest. Obviously, Inoue got the better of it because Inoue is special. But, you know, to be in a weight class this low at age 40 and still knuckling these juniors into the dirt, how can you not have anything but respect for this guy? And he, you know, to get back there to where he was, in between the
Yeah, you
losses
definitely
to Inoue,
set.
he
You
beat some
got your
legitimate
pay-per-view
guys
ordered,
along the way.
food
And
coming.
so I
You
just feel
definitely
like
set.
if you're 40, listen, it's always when you go into a night
I'm
like
about
this,
to get all the
may
way
the best
set
man
too,
or
all the
woman
way
win.
situated
You
too.
just want the process to be fair, the judges to be good, the referee
Turned
to
up,
be
y'all.
good.
This is
But I will
the
be honest with you, I think a
fight
lot
of the
of boxing
century,
fans,
man.
certainly in the Philippines, but even here
Fuck the
stateside,
past 30
they have a
years. This
soft
the
spot
fight
for
of the
Nonito
century,
Donaire.
man.
He is, to me, very much in this
Four
fight. I
belt,
expect him to win, in
undisputed
fact,
era,
and just noodle that. A
welterweight
40-year-old
Earl
champion
Spence
at a
versus
weight
Terrence
class
Bud
this
Crawford
low.
is going
He
down.
is such a special talent.
Tap that like
if he
button,
wins
sub
tonight,
to the
he will
channel.
be the oldest active
Hang in
champion
there
in
with us.
boxing right now.
Amazing.
Some good
And one of my favorite moments from
commentary
yesterday's
outside of
weigh-in,
the
other than all the
commentary
Spence
that I
Crawford
guess you'll hear in the
was when I said
background,
to
or the
him,
commentary that's
Nonito,
the
if
stock
you win this
commentary for
bantamweight
these
title on
fights.
Saturday, you will become the oldest bantamweight
Because
champion
let's
of
be
all time.
real,
He
most
said,
of these guys
"Beating
is
my
agenda
record," which is
based,
true.
you know.
When he was
But
38, he won it, and if he wins tonight, he'll be the
we're gonna
oldest
call it how we
bantamweight
see
champion
it.
of all time, beating his own
Also, go
record.
to
I mean, it's
94
unbelievable.
Films
and how about that
at
first fight against
94
Naoya
Films.
Inoue? Which it feels
At
like back
94
then, like, it
Films
didn't get the attention
75
and love that
on
it deserved because
YouTube.
people didn't really appreciate who
Sub
he
to the
is.
channel.
The monster was, but
He's
now
gonna
I
be
feel like
also
it has
doing a fight
aged so well.
calling
Well,
it
he really gave
from
Inoue his
the
toughest fight today,
perspective
right?
of a
He
Bud
broke his
fan.
face.
He's an
He
extreme
broke Inoue's face. Right? I mean, that's no
boxing
joke. Now, that
fan,
also
and
tells
he's
you what
actually
an
tied in with
absolute
the Bud camp,
animal
and he
that a guy like Inoue
is
is,
tight
and he
with
came
Bernie
back
the
and won
Boxer.
that fight
So
late. But I'm just
sub to
pointing out,
my
like,
little
dude,
brother's
this guy,
channel.
he is,
Appreciate the
he
share.
is
Appreciate the
such
share.
It's so easy to appreciate his effort. It's so
He'll be
easy
calling
to
it from a
appreciate how he
Bud's
carries
fans
himself
perspective,
as a
and
professional,
I'm
and it's
Mr.
very
Man
easy to
Down over
appreciate what
here.
he has
So
done
y'all gonna
inside
hear
the ring.
me calling
I'm
it
so
is
excited to see
like
what
I
he can do
see
today.
it,
He talks
but
about when it's
I'm
sorry,
be
go ahead.
watching
No,
a
no,
lot
but
of
I
what
just want
EJ
to
do
add
in the
that,
ring
Santiago's called
to
him one of
dismantle and
idols,
break
sometimes
down
we have seen when someone
Terrence
looks up to a
Crawford,
fighter,
and
they end up fighting and they
give
don't have
y'all
that killer
some
instinct. So I'm curious to
gems
see
on
how
I guess how
Santiago
he's
fights
doing
a
it,
legend
whether it's
like
Right.
Nonito
setting
Donaire
shit
because
up
he
with the
looks up to him.
feint or
Well, you talked
pawing or
about one of your
blinding
favorite
him
moments
before
in
he
the
come
weigh-in
under
with
and
him.
tear that
One of my
body
favorite
up,
moments
or
with him came at the
whether
press
he's
conference
smothering
when
the
he started to do
shots
the face-off
or
with Santiago, and he
winning
went
with
back and he took
volume.
his glasses off.
And
He was
shop
like, "No, I really want to be able to look at you." I thought
usualsuspect6.com,
that was
shop
very cool. It also
usualsuspect6.com.
really interested me at
Get
the
you
press
some
conference that
combat
we heard
tool
him saying,
bag
"I don't
gear.
want to just become a
We have
world champion
athletic
again. I
wear
want to
and
become
everything you can think
undisputed."
of that
Even just
surrounds
thinking about the
athletic
length of
wear,
time
from
that would take
tool bags to
at 40
bucket
years old
hats
to be able
to
to collect
shoes,
those belts. You
sweats,
have to
hoodies.
fight at
We got
least
it all.
another,
Shop
how many
usualsuspect6.com.
fights?
Get you
Yeah,
some
couple
combat
years,
tool bag
maybe.
gear. Search the
Yeah.
combat tool
To
bag
say that I
collection.
thought was astounding to me.
But
Well,
yeah,
I'm a little more
we
skeptical
really
of that
got
fight.
some
I
epic
mean,
shit
I
going
think
on
there's
tonight.
a very good chance
Appreciate
he wins
everybody who's
tonight.
tuning
To
in.
become undisputed,
We'll have spots
I
of
mean,
silence,
at his
if you will,
age
not
would be
necessarily
something
silence,
truly
but
historic.
quieter
Also,
spots
just
and more
difficult to come by
conversational
about whether or not
spots.
the
But
promotional and
right
Whether you can
now,
make those fights
right,
it's
whether
all
you can
about
make them happen on
Terrence
especially in a
Crawford,
timely
Earl
manner.
Spence,
Nevertheless, though, to do what he's doing here tonight
the
against an
great
opponent like this, where I do think he is
Filipino
quality.
Flash, Nonito
Nonito
Donaire, is
Donaire, what a
fighting
remarkable career. So
tonight,
that's another
and
chapter.
for
What
the
about the
opportunity
size,
to win the
kind
title.
of issue
So it
in
will
this
be a
fight as well? Because
championship
Santiago,
12-round
even
fight
for somebody fighting at this weight
with
class, is very
Oakland
small in
Zone,
frame
Oakland,
and in size. Do
California
you think that
Zone,
size will play a
Filipino
role
Flash,
in the way this fight plays out?
I don't know exactly.
Nonito
I saw
Donaire,
him,
and he'll be getting busy, and we'll call that fight. We're gonna call all of the fights we got here. Appreciate everybody for stopping by and tuning in and fucking with us.
For the weight class, at least I would say physical enough.
Rock out with us.
Donaire on the scales yesterday, it was kind of funny. Don't get me wrong, he looks to be in shape, but I don't know. He looks like he's in shape and 40. You know what I mean? Like you don't have.
Wow.
Like come on now.
Shots fired.
Hey, I've turned 44 in about a week. Trust me when I can say there's a drop off after 40. 40, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't always been a Dodge Omni kid out there. I just turned into one. But if I'm being serious, I think this will be more of a there could be clashes on the inside where it gets rough and physical. I just don't believe that's going to be why Donaire
Like,
wins
share
or
the
loses,
video,
right? I don't think that's
subscribe
gonna
to
be
the
the
channel. Please subscribe to the channel. We're making our next push to 500 subs. We're trying to get to 500 subs or 500 plus. And then our next push is over 1K, but we gotta get to 500 first. So please sub to the channel. Please sub to the channel. Michelangelo 7500.
Even though he's a little man. But more than
we're
that,
here to
what a
focus
style this
on
guy
mastery
has.
of mind. mind, body, and soul. So we'll give you combat content, we'll give you financial content, we'll give you artistic content as well. So you can look for it all here. And from the perspective of a professional athlete, of a coach, a personal trainer, and of an experienced entrepreneur. So sub to the channel, please do. Appreciate all of the support, family. Appreciate all the support.
Well, it's interesting because we talked about Donaire giving Inoue one of his
We're
toughest
still
fights,
building and still
toughest, and I would
stalling for
argue
the
that
next
Isaac
fight.
Cruz gave Tank Davis
While
back
we
in
hang
LA
out,
in
wait for this next
2021
fight to
his
begin.
toughest fight as well, and that was a short
Do
notice
everything you
fight.
can
If
to
you recall,
support your favorite
he has
fighter,
been
whether
saying
it's
he is not
buying
shy
merch,
about the fact that he wants this fight again. I
buying
would
the
be
fight,
shocked if Tank Davis took this fight again anytime soon. There's no
anything you
upside for
can
him,
to
and he
support your
knows just how
favorite
tough
fighter.
Pitbull is.
Sending
Like,
them
there's no reason
messages
to do this, but
on social
Isaac
media,
Cruz, everyone
wishing
loves
them
him,
well.
to your point, Luke. He's your favorite
It's
fighter's
going down
favorite fighter,
tonight.
as people like to
Biggest
say.
fight of the
But I
century,
love
y'all.
Cabrera
Biggest
too.
fight of the
Cabrera's
century.
got some swag. He looks like a male model, undefeated, has been talking a big game as well. Back and forth they
Has
went.
he been talking too much of a big game?
No, forget that.
Considering who you're going in against?
I mean, here's the thing. You look at his game, and you just have to say, all right, because there's Tank Davis. You saw him. He was able to pivot, turn, keep turning Pitbull so that that was his way of absorbing the pressure. And, of course, Tank has an absolute nuclear left hand, right? So we know that. What does Cabrera have to keep Isaac Cruz off of him? I am not sure what the answer to that is. I'm not sure that there is one, and I worry about that for him tonight.
I mean, you said you have to like Pitbull Cruz, right? Which I agree with you, by the way, but I think it's funny because he doesn't really give you much to like, but it's that for me which makes him so interesting. The press conference, he shuts it all down. He doesn't enter into any of that trash talking. He's all business all the time, and he's just mean, and I like that.
Super mean. And these guys who come from, and you see it a lot in boxing, obviously, but these guys who come from real, let's say, humble backgrounds, like real working class backgrounds, guys who don't mind getting their hands dirty, who don't mind doing the extra work that others don't do. That's Isaac Cruz to the nth degree. And so for that reason, because of the effort that he gives, because of the heart that he shows, and because of the genuine skill that he's now developed, he absolutely has my respect. He has my admiration. I cannot wait to see him tonight.
I agree with you. He doesn't give you a lot in terms of the interviews, although this week he's been pretty good. But he gives you a lot in terms of his style, right? He is just so fun to watch. And,
in the ring you're talking about, yes, absolutely.
In the ring, yeah. And I will admit, I asked Cabrera on the stage yesterday, like, do you think he is looking past you because he keeps talking about Pitbull? He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would look past anyone. Like, he strikes me as the kind of guy who loves a good scrap. He's a true Mexican fighter, right? Isaac Cruz. And so he is not going to go in there and be like, oh, I'm going to take this lightly so I can get the Tank Davis fight. Cabrera is undefeated. He continues to say that he has beaten more undefeated fighters than anyone in boxing. I don't know how you come up with that stat, but it's a nice little thing to say.
If it's true.
If it's true, well, why not just run with it and people will repeat it and parrot it. But, you got Freddie Roach by your side. He is representing Chicago. He is very confident going into this fight. And if you can beat Isaac Cruz in the co-feature fight on a card like this, we've got a new star. We've got an absolute new star in our hands.
Yeah, what an opportunity for Cabrera. Yeah. I mean, you go and silence the doubters. You beat a guy like Isaac Cruz, you're already in the thick of it right then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a big event today. Terence Crawford going up against Errol Spence for all the belts. Terence Crawford, the WBO belt holder, and Errol Spence with the other three, the unified champ at welterweight. I guess if we're looking back and thinking back to other big welterweight fights, the one that's really obviously stands out in recent history is the Mayweather against Pacquiao one. People have said this is the biggest welterweight fight since that fight, maybe the biggest fight in boxing since that fight. For people who were burned and spent $100, the casual fans who spent $100 and felt like, well, that wasn't really worth my money.
Appreciate
Why
your
do you
time.
think this
We're
time
on a fight
will be
call.
different to what we saw between Mayweather and Pac? Why will this fight deliver?
So Mayweather got a lot
blow
of
by blow.
criticism that I thought was
For those
unfair
who can't see the fight.
because he is a strong defensive fighter. And then that combined, that defensive soundness was combined with Pacquiao, who was somewhat overmatched, and in the end it kind of revealed he was injured. So you just didn't get high-octane offense from Pacquiao. That was really kind of missing. Now, again, we'll see how this goes. And again, there's questions about Errol Spence, post-car wreck, blah, blah, blah. I think most of those, as I mentioned yesterday, were answered for me in the Ugas fight. But here's my point. Bud looked to me to be an absolutely
They're still stalling after the first fight. The first fight ended in
Errol Spence
TKO.
as well. They both have different kinds of offensive games. Great counterpunching, as we mentioned before. Errol Spence, the Terminator. In other words, the unique combination at that moment in time when Pacquiao and Mayweather met, you just don't have any of that here, at least not that we can detect at this point. So I understand why folks might be like, well, you guys told me it was going to be great, and it wasn't all that great. different fighters, different time, different body types, all kinds of differences. I'm much more hopeful for this one.
Yeah, and one thing I love so much about this fight is it feels like both guys have massive chips on their shoulders. You know, both guys, it feels like they have something to prove. Like Errol Spence is tired of people saying, you're not the same guy since the car accident, right? He's only had 2 fights, 15-month layoff. He wants to prove that he is the man. He's always been at 147. This is my division. I'm going to be the first undisputed
My fight
champion.
prediction, I got
Terrence
Earl Spence,
who, you know, towards the end of his time with Top Rank was feeling very disrespected.
late
Didn't feel
round
like he was being
TKO,
promoted enough, wasn't getting the attention that
10,
he
11,
deserved. This is
12,
a true pound-for-pound fighter,
or
right? He has
a decision
gone up the divisions,
for
right?
Earl
He's
Spence
coming and he's
Jr.
chasing him down. He was very upset
Man
when the
down,
fight fell through back in
anything
November.
can happen
He was
in
the
the
one
fight.
that went out on social media
I
and tried
think
to
Bud
explain
can
this was
stop
not my
him
fault.
if
I tried to
EJ
make it
has
happen, all that stuff
has a
before.
lapse of
And so it
focus.
feels like they both
But
have a
outside
point
of
to
that,
prove.
I
And
see
for Crawford
EJ
especially,
being too much
he
for
could make
Bud.
history. He could be the first male fighter in the history of boxing in the 4-belt era to be undisputed in 2 different weight classes. That's a really big
Shout out Clarissa Shields.
first women's fighter and first
We'll
fighter
see
period.
what happens,
He would be
though.
the first male, and that's a huge deal, especially in a division like 147. So I love the fact that they both have something to prove. They both have chips on their shoulders, but there's also actual history at stake here. So to your point about Mayweather and
Anything
Pacquiao,
can happen in this
that
sport
was
of
great. That
boxing.
was
I could be
historic 'cause
wrong.
It was like Clash of Titans. But again, to my point last night, it was that rotten banana that you got, you know.
Here comes the banana.
At the
You guys
top
like
of the,
fruit?
At the top of the
Weird
heap.
setup, right?
You know what I mean? It was just like no one likes that banana. It's good in a smoothie, but it's not good. You see, this one's
Banana
gonna be
bread,
great.
banana
Yeah.
bread.
Banana bread smoothie, but not on its own. This one's good on its own. Trust me.
You mentioned Terrence Crawford moving up through the weight divisions and being a true pound-for-pound fighter. What about that kind of difference in natural size? Because Errol Spence in the Olympics at 152, then a 147 fighter his entire career, whereas Terrence has been outstanding at 135 and 140 and now growing into that 147. But do you think that natural size advantage that Errol Spence has will make a big difference in this fight?
It
Still
will
stalling
if
till the
he's
next
able
fight.
to corral a
talking
guy
about
like Crawford. I mean,
advantages
it's not
and
to say,
disadvantages.
for example, Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia entirely on the outside just to prove a point. You know, I could fight on the outside if I want to. I'm not an inside guy all the time.
It's
And he
going
went and did
down.
that. I think he did some outside fighting with Van Eerden and some other ones. But I would say this, you know, when you watch
Well,
like
not right now,
Bud
because
in
he's
his
stalling.
previous weight class against Indongo or pick any guy from before, Gamboa, whatever, you're like, I don't know if the guy's going to be able to deal with like the punishment that a guy like Errol Spence can dish out. I mean, it's so overwhelming, right?
I
But the
think they
way
only
he
got
looked
2
yesterday,
fights
the
on this
way
card.
he
That's
looked
why they're
against
stalling
Evan
like
Neeson,
this.
I got to tell you, I do think that Spence obviously is the naturally bigger guy,
If
been
so,
here his
we'll
whole
stay
career,
on.
and I do think he's going to have a physical advantage. But it's probably not the physical advantage that I would have thought maybe a month or 2 ago. It looks to me like Crawford has really settled into this weight class.
Yeah, and a lot of people were dissecting how Spence looked on the scale yesterday. It's important to note those weigh-ins were at about 4 local time. He weighed in 6 hours prior, so that wasn't the true. So 3, excuse me. We got a stickler back there. He got me crying out. The point is,
He'll be fine by the end of the show.
Actually, it was 3:26 local time. The point is, I think it was like 5 hours prior that he actually waited. So that was actually the true, like, dehydrated version of Errol Spence. One thing that I love about this is it's very rare, as you know, it's very rare that there's a like bilateral, if the word is, rematch clause, right?
Mutually enforceable, they say.
Mutually
Going down,
enforceable.
y'all.
What a
Earl
great term.
Spence versus
And I
Terrence
love the fact
Crawford.
that it's the loser
Who's y'all
who has
pick?
to trigger it, but it's
Leave
the
y'all
winner
picks
who
in the
gets to
chat.
pick the
Who y'all
weight.
think gonna
So
win?
could you imagine if Terrence
How y'all think
Crawford
this is gonna go?
loses tonight and says, all right, give me the rematch, but
Impromptu,
then Spence says, I'll see
live.
you at 154.
It ain't
What?
like
Here's the
crazy.
thing about that. I
little-
wonder, like, I know. You heard it as well as I heard it. Spence was...
He is a true showman. He's a renaissance.
About to watch Steven Nelson fight.
He's a comedian, as you said. He's a seamster. What do you call that? Someone who likes to sew.
Seamstress has always been the word. I think
But is
that's
that-
gendered, right?
What is that? Is it seamstress?
I think that is gendered, yeah.
I'm just gonna call him someone who likes to sew his own stuff. Also, he also tailors.
Steven Nelson versus his opponent.
His friend Terrence Crawford.
Steven Nelson out of Terrence Crawford's camp.
In the ring.
The middleweight bout, I believe, either super middleweight or junior middleweight. I mean, super middleweight or junior middleweight. We're about to get the details now, and we're off to our second fight of the night.
What you wanted out of this experience, like obviously you want the W, we don't mean that, but beyond it, what is this fight supposed to do for you? And basically at 35 years of age, he wants to be ranked. He's undefeated, and he wants to get opponents to help him ultimately see like how far can I actually take it in boxing.
WBA Continental Super Middleweight, day 168 or 168 weigh-in night. They fight night probably upwards of 170, 180. So some big guys.
Terrible injury, Achilles injury, right?
Yeah.
And thought that his career might be done. So now that he's back, he's all the way back. He returned just a few months ago.
It's
he's like, let's go.
So Cold versus Rowdy Legend.
And I don't think he wants to be in.
Steven So Cold Nelson versus Rowdy Legend.
Training with him. He doesn't want to just be Terrence's guy.
We're gonna see how this goes.
And listen, he's 35 years of age. Rowdy Legend Montgomery at 37. Time is of the essence if you're going to make an impact here in the world of boxing.
I expect Steven So Cold Nelson to either win by KO or TKO. They kinda are considering this a title fight, so this is at least 10 rounds. I say 9 or 10 round stoppage if the guy's okay. If not, it'll be earlier than that. So it just looks like due to the conditioning of Steven So Cold and then the camp that he's with, and then never having seen Rowdy Legend, I have that much to go off of. So he can be an upset for So Cold Nelson, or he could be food for So Cold Nelson. I'd predict the latter. Round one's about to begin. Round one is about to begin.
Steven Nelson, 18-0, Rowdy Legend, 10-4-1.
Steven Nelson, 18-0, Rowdy, 10-4-1.
You can see here two right-handed fighters. Steven Nelson in the red and gold trunks, I guess you would say.
Steven Nelson with the jab, lobbying for position in the center of the ring, measuring jab, tried to counter with a jab over the top, rebel stab to the body. Measuring, So Cold measuring, lobbying for position, jab, jab, jab high, jab low, good scoring, snapping jab up top.
Very short notice that he didn't watch any tape on Nelson. I can't believe people do that still in 2020.
Opponent says he hasn't watched any tape on Nelson. This might not go to the 10th. I would say 6. Stoppage by the 6th. So Cold Nelson. Lobbying for position in the middle of the ring, double jab, high low, cross low. Rebel came back with a 3-4 to the body. That's hook on either side. 1-2. Fell a little short from Nelson. Jab landed to follow.
And then he sticks to the body. Good connection between
reaching a little bit with his jab. Rebel won't capitalize on it. He got countered with a power jab from Nelson. Feint, 2 to the body. Nelson lobbying for position in the middle of the ring. Displayed a little bit of head movement, dodged the jab. Jab cross, jab lands. Hook lands coming from the opposition. Rebel. A Rowdy Legend. He clipped Nelson, and then Nelson clipped him back. Kind of a surprise. They buzzed each other back to back, but Nelson buzzed him afterwards. Now he's just lobbying for position.
But if you're Nelson, they say
Nelson fires a right hand, lands to the shoulder, not the head.
I wouldn't mind getting a few rounds
Rebel pumped his jab out. Nelson going to the body, has him against the ropes. Rebel circles out. Double jab cross. Cross lands. The jab was the setup for Nelson. Jab to the body.
Assuming it goes short for him, he'll have had not much good look of an opponent who could resist and then problem solving through it. Would you want to
sub to the channel, sub to the channel.
Do that without having sufficient practice?
Power jab. 1-2 from Nelson. The 2 didn't land. The jab did. Jab to the body.
Early here and go play at Caesars. Go open for Seinfeld tonight.
Kate Abdo made him tell jokes on
missing hook. Missing combination from Nelson. But in an attempt to finish the round strong, round wrong, so-called Nelson.
All right, everyone. Luke Thomas, Ariel Helwani, Kate Abdo as well. The last of our preliminary contests here, you have Rowdy Legend. Let's take a look at the highlights here. He comes in with hooks to the body, and he eats a left hook. Good combination there. Went body with the right hand, left upstairs to the head for Steven Nelson. He's a well-trained fighter. Bomac. You know, Derek James has the celebrity stable.
End of round one, easy round for so-called Nelson.
But Bomac is a great coach, giving his fighter good instructions. He follows it. I like what I'm seeing so far.
I mean, we talked about, you know, fighters with something to prove tonight. I feel like Bomac has a little bit to prove as well. James has put him down in the build-up to this, saying that he's not on his level, he's not my competition. Look at my stable, look at his.
Right.
I mean, what a feather in Bomac's hat it would be if he could beat the undefeated Errol Spence. You have to wonder and think that
Get some combat tool bag gear. Shop usualsuspect6.com. Combat tool bag collection. Combat tool bag collection.
If they win, great. But what if they
The
get
combat
flatlined?
tool
It
bag
becomes
fight
a bit of an
call.
issue, so we'll see how that goes.
So-called Nelson with the jab.
Yeah, you can tell
Jab
they're
to the
trying
chest.
establish
Lobbying for
body
position in the
work
middle.
to set up the headshot. You can already see Montgomery
Trying to find his
stands a little on the
range.
low side. They hit the kind of
Peeking
hang
is
out in front of
Nelson.
him.
Measuring with the right and left. Rebel just threw a straight right down the middle and tagged Nelson. Rebel on his toes, moving laterally.
Very lanky, upright.
Nelson double jab, cross to the body, just the cross lands. Reaching with his jab is Nelson.
Also, Montgomery breathing with his mouth open.
1-2-1 to get in position and landed a good 1-2 on Rebel, and then a good 2 from Nelson. That's a straight right hand or a straight left hand, depending on the stance. Rebel tried to get in to return fire and opened himself up for a counter from Nelson. A short hook, big right hand from Nelson. He looks like he's hurting Rebel. Overhand right, didn't really hurt him, not much power on it, but it landed flexibly. Double jab, overhand right, left hook to the body from Nelson. Good straight right hand landed on the button from Nelson. Then a shot to the body and a good right uppercut from Nelson. Missing left hook, blocking the right hand of Rebel.
No, I actually go out of my way not to see any of those movies. Can't be bothered. What is this?
Double jab cross and then an overhand from Nelson
Come to life?
to Rebel.
Right, Kate? That's not a hot
Not
take.
bad
That's
tactics from Nelson. It's
that's a
just
veteran thing. That's a mature
he seems to be reaching a little bit, seems not to be in range with his shot. So he's not landing with the ferocity he wants to land on Rebel.
that is,
Left hook to the body, across upstairs
that's the real
from Rebel. Jab and then a right hand upstairs, lands good and hard. And then another right hand lands on Rebel from Nelson. Another right hand. And he almost shoved him down shooting a hook. It was very pushing left hook. Then he lands a right hand on Rebel.
Nelson able to pressure.
Seeking a jab to set up that rear hand is Nelson. 10 seconds. Shoots the 2 to the body. Very awkward 2 to the body from Nelson. And then a 2-1 to finish the round from Nelson to
I
Rebel.
set the line at 5 rounds. Taking the over or the under?
At this point, I might take the under.
Yeah.
I might take the under at this point.
How do you have it scored, Kate?
You know, I wasn't scoring rounds, but I think
You could
Steven
have
Nelson
totally
is
lied and said 2018, just based on our discussion, in case you...
What you said though about different weight classes.
Yeah, I would say another clear round for so-called Nelson.
Mid-area, right?
Displaying a really good boxing ability, just
Great job using the
having
cut him off, presses him up against the
problems
ropes,
getting in
side
range
frame,
for the
comes
taller
over the
guy.
top with the right hand. It's just good
And
boxing for
it's
Steven
not
Nelson.
from the ability of the taller guy, it's just the lack of ability with his feet to, or even his heart to trust himself to just get in range and fire. Because he's just outside the guy's range throwing the shots, which is why he's not landing flush. I do believe he could have probably first round got in Got him out of this round early. Round 3 starts. He tries to come out aggressive, firing some straight shots. Is Rebel. Nelson lobbying for position. Jab high, cross low. Sub to the channel, family. Sub to the channel. Jab high.
Comes from a great camp. Has something of a celebrity trainer. It's a difficult
Check hook
assignment.
lands for Rebel to Nelson. Jab from Nelson.
The game plan is sort of pretty obvious, right? They're going to change angles on him, change levels, make him transfer defense, and then
jab high, cross low from Nelson to Rebel. Rebel staying intelligently out of range, but not necessarily returning fire to win this fight. Just Dude, what's cracking with you, bro? Appreciate you stopping by. Just doing an impromptu fight call, having somewhat of a fight party here. We on the Nelson fight, 3rd round right now. Appreciate you stopping by, KB.
This has been my experience.
Double jab, cross, left hook from Nelson to Rebel. All landed flush. He kind of has Rebel a little frazzled right now. A lead right from Nelson doesn't land flush. Rebel pulls back. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Tap that like button if you could. Sub to the channel if you're not already. We are round 3. They're lobbying for position in the middle of the ring. Jab from Nelson. Lands flush. Double jab cross. Comes up a little short from Nelson to Rebel. Short left hook attempt from Nelson. Misses, but then the right hook lands to the body of Rebel from Nelson. Rebel showing a lot of lateral movement. Not seeking to engage, but certainly determined to survive. Some lazy feints, and he's pretty open for Nelson, who's feinting right now, lobbying for position to shoot the double jab right hand. Comes up a little short, but lands with the jab afterwards.
Ready to be checked if he's not careful.
Do me a favor, family, sub to the channel, tap that like button. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Big pull counter attempt, big miss from Rebel. Double jab, the second jab lands for Rebel. A clean right hand lands for Nelson. He's not committing to these straight shots. It seems he's just out of his range. He doesn't want to hurt his elbow shooting too hard, it looks like. But he's not trusting himself to get closer. And with that, Rebel takes advantage of the space, popping his jab, scoring jabs in the center of the ring and taking angles. Gets caught with a 1, not the 2, and then pull counters and catches Nelson with the 2, but not flush, just glancing. And he uses some lateral movement to get out of dodge. End of round 3. It was his best round. Yeah, I would say what Hawani just said. It was definitely his most competitive round, but it wasn't enough to win. I would say Nelson 3 up right now. The guy's not really committing to mountain offense. He's just seeking not to be knocked out from what I think he perceives. He's attempting to not be knocked out from what I think he perceives as the stronger fighter. That may not be true because Nelson is very composed in the shots he's throwing, but he hasn't necessarily displayed to me any explosive or if I touch you once, you're going to the nether realm type powers. What I see is just a good technical boxer who happens to be a little shorter, so he's a little stockier, but he's not necessarily displaying that he's the stronger guy or the bigger guy. Right now he is 3 up. Top of round 4, he triples his jab and takes the center of the ring. Nothing landing, just to appear more active, did Nelson. Nothing from Rebel yet. He's still feinting and establishing a rhythm with his guard. And pawing with the jab is Nelson. Appreciate you all for stopping by. Please sub to the channel. This is the Earl Spence fight call. Round 4, Nelson versus Rebel. Pawing at the guard of Nelson is Rebel. Rebel attempts back with a 1-2 to the body and he misses. 1-2-1 from Rebel, and he comes up short only because of the guard and good defense of Nelson. And they're fighting for center ring without necessarily fighting, just pawing shots short shots landing on the outside of each other's gloves. Good power jab to the body from Nelson. A jab to the body from Nelson. Appreciate all the support, guys. Please sub to the channel. Please tap that like button. Lee right hand lands glancingly on Nelson from Rebel. And a lull in activity again. Power jab comes up short from Rebel.
Look no further than Tuesday
Jab,
morning in Japan.
Rebel.
Continue to invest in the body.
Clear jab, but not committing to the power. Just arm punching for the most part. Lobbying for position. Came up short with the jab, did Rebel. Double jab, right hand, all miss from Nelson. Good left hook lands on the button from Nelson. He has Montgomery Rebel on his bike. He's circling the ring. He's displaying lateral movement and got caught again with a left hook. After getting hit with that left hook again, he tried to clinch, and he's on his bike. He's displaying lateral movement, and he's lying with his hands. Those are throwing feints just to keep the guy off of him. Good uppercut from Montgomery, and then countered with a right hand from Nelson. He snapped Nelson's head back, and Nelson returned fire with a good lead right hand, and then he was reaching with a right hand, and Montgomery kind of rolled that off on the ropes just by pulling his head away in time and having the height advantage, just pulling back that inch. Glancing left hook, body shot lands for Nelson. They're tangled up against the ropes. The ref separates them, and Nelson's back as the aggressor. He throws two underhooks. Montgomery comes back with essentially two overhooks, a left and a right hook. They're kind of missing right now, both guys. Good right hand attempt from Nelson, but Montgomery's displaying good defense and some dog. He bited down and threw a 3-4, 3-4, or depending on how you look at it, a 3-6, 3-6. But some left hooks and right hooks to try to display a little bit of feistiness. But I would still give that round to Nelson, so I would say 4-0.
There's that left hand we were talking about coming up under. It's good work from him, good recognition. Both guys kind of bringing their feet together and landing heavy on the front foot, which is why they're a little bit off balance when they clash like that.
He heard my line about the 5 rounds.
Yeah, that must have been it.
Starting to see a little bit of swelling on Montgomery or Rebel Legend's face. His right cheekbone is starting to round out and it's starting to swell. He has been standing in his corner the whole time, but it's not necessarily displaying that he's in better shape than this guy or that he's more durable. It's just he's just standing up and losing every round. Nelson is most likely going to stick to the game plan. Montgomery came out, tried to shoot a hook, he missed. Nelson returned fire to the body, and they're hooking their way in the center of the ring. A little more educated with Nelson than Montgomery or Legend, Rebel Legend.
10 minutes.
Like, I'm not trying to look at another guy's eyes.
Reaching for the jab. He's not seeking to do anything with the jab besides distract or occupy. Is Nelson, he's just seeking to throw a power shot, but I'm not seeing the power. Still, I'm not seeing the power. He's measuring with his jab. He shoots a straight right, comes up a little bit short, and Montgomery rolls with the shot.
I tried not.
Montgomery's seeking to survive. He's pumping his jab, but just shooting one. So I wouldn't consider it a pumping of a jab, but just sticking his jab out there to prevent Nelson from coming forward. He does throw a double jab across. Glancing shots landing on Nelson, and Nelson returns fire with hooks. Landing. Short right hand. Jab touching. Good right hand landing on the button from Nelson.
There's a good inside frame by Nelson. Misses with a subsequent punch. Took a little longer than he needed to.
Uppercut. Rear uppercut from Nelson to Montgomery. Ref called time. Someone lost their mouthpiece. It was Nelson.
That was a big talking point. He said he was very afraid that his teeth were
time in. We're right back in the action. Montgomery throws away a jab. Nelson double pumps his jab and lands the right hand. But he's not throwing with enough force to convince Montgomery to get out of here.
By the way, Luke, right now I'm very embarrassed because we were talking up Steven Nelson's sewing skills and his patch.
Steven Nelson is definitely showing he's a very good
fault.
boxer,
He can't blame
but
someone
he's
else.
not showing the
Well, he's winning the
aggression
boxing
needed
fight,
to
sure, but
send
he's
a
clearly
message
not in
fighting
great
this
siege.
guy,
Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't
who has
say
4
that.
losses and 1
I've never seen
draw.
this is so embarrassing.
The guy's doing everything he can to stay out of range, but return fire so that the ref can't say, show me something. And that's what I'm seeing from someone who's been in there. And again, that can be taken with a grain of salt, but from what I see, it looks like he's not attempting to hurt Nelson. He's just attempting to survive. And Nelson is attempting to hurt him, but Nelson is not displaying any power to really stun or stop this guy in his tracks. Back to the blow by blow. Nelson's feinting, creeping for middle ring, shoots a jab, lands. Montgomery shoots a jab, misses. Nelson's measuring. Montgomery throws a 1-2, misses. Nelson throws a 1-2 and misses.
I was a little worried for
Kind of
Montgomery
missed
round 2 or 3.
the last few of the shots thrown. All of the last shots thrown since the bell clacker, they missed.
Scheduled anyway. Still all Steven Nelson, Ariel, but Montgomery doing enough to stay around.
Absolutely. I would give
5-0, Steven so-called Nelson.
This fight is a lot
5-0, Steven so-called Nelson.
Especially considering how those
I called a stoppage. I thought he would display more aggression than he's showing, but he's not showing to be one of the strongest guys out of the B&B gym. He's showing to be a very educated boxer, that was someone who's not taking unnecessary risks. But as he attempts to step on the gas, he doesn't seem athletically. He has enough torque on his punches or enough explosiveness or even weight in his fist to send the message that he's attempting to send in the fight style that he's using. But that said, it's the top of round 6, and they're in the center ring. Both missing jabs, both missing crosses. Montgomery's doubling his jab up, not seeking a land, just trying to appear busy. Nelson check hook lands, misses the follow-up jab. Misses the jab, lands the cross, does Nelson. Body shot from Montgomery. Return fire from a body shot of Nelson. Lead cross from Nelson and a lead uppercut that lands from a rear uppercut that lands from Nelson. Nelson seeming to counter to initiate his combinations. So he parried, check hook, cross, the last combination. And then Montgomery reset him by just sticking his hand out there and moving laterally. And then throws a sloppy lead right hand, but lands on Nelson. And then throws a body shot and lands a right hand on Nelson. Nelson ties him up. He shoots a lead left uppercut. And then a haymaker. Oh, Montgomery is buzzing Nelson. He buzzed Nelson. And then Nelson buzzed Montgomery back, but Montgomery knows he has Nelson buzzed. And he's hooking away. Hook away, my friend, hook away. Hook away, my friend, hook away. Nelson is returning fire. He's landing virtually everything now, but he has no fire in his pop. No fire in his punches, but Montgomery, with a sloppy technique, is getting landed on, but is landing effectively. Very sloppily, but effectively. Montgomery shoots a jab, misses. Nelson shoots an uppercut, misses.
We're talking about a guy on short notice here. May have punched himself out. Let's see.
And then you have a 1-2 from Montgomery that misses and a 2 that lands from Nelson right on the button. Montgomery's still here, sturdy standing. 2 to the body from Nelson, nothing. Does nothing to Montgomery. Jab to the body, does nothing. A 2-3 from Montgomery lands on the button on Nelson. Sub to the channel, like and subscribe if you can. It's a fight call for the biggest fight of the century.
6 rounds in, and all of a sudden this guy who you thought you were going to steamroll is putting
They're both shooting short hooks and missing, but lunging with them. They're in the center of the ring now. Big attempt at a right hand from Montgomery that misses on Nelson. Big attempt at a right hand from Nelson that misses. Right hand that lands for Nelson. Jab that lands for Nelson. He's applying a good combination. He landed 2 straight shots upstairs and a hook downstairs. And now he's pressing on the gas, but nothing landed flush, and Montgomery hooked him twice and rolled with 2 shots at the end. Montgomery's best round. Buzzed Nelson in that round, got cut in that round. Very big round for this fight. It was the most exciting round for this fight.
I would... was like 3/4 in favor of... I kind of just want to give it to Rowdy Legend.
I would probably still give it to Nelson, but that was certainly the best round of Montgomery's for Montgomery in this fight. Again, I'm not judging at home, so for folks being like you're crazy, I might be. I was not judging it. I was just kind of watching. Yeah, nice right hand.
Excellent fight. Well, excellent round. Let's see what happens after this. We're going into the 7th, and Montgomery did display a lot of dog in that round. I have to give him his credit. A lot of dog in the 6th. Started hooking away for this man. Showed that he's still in this fight, regardless of how people are viewing it. And he started fighting his ass off. But I still give that round to Nelson. I'd say 6-0. We're at the top of the 7th. They're both lobbying for position in the middle of the ring, pawing with their jabs. That's not seeking to land, just touching. And just sticking their hand out so no one advances. So pawing with their jab. Missed right hand from Nelson. Back to pawing with the jab.
No referee stuff.
Pawing with the jab. Shoots the right hand to the body. Lands on the arm. He shoots a left hook. Does rebel and gets countered by a left hook of Nelson's.
Here we are, round 7. Let's see if Nelson can capitalize on what he was working with at the end of round 6.
Nelson attempted to wait for the counter, but came up short with the counter, but blocked the work of Rebel. Tap that like button, family. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Sub to pull away the power. It does.
Last round, Apex Montgomery's
on busyness. He comes up short. Big miss from Nelson.
You hear the coaches.
Montgomery doubles his jab, scoring with them actually. The big lull in activity there, y'all. They're trading with their jabs. Nothing as a result. Both guys evaded them. Montgomery displayed excellent feet thus far in this fight. The ability to take this fight on short notice, stay out of range, and use his height. And just use a straight shot just to keep Nelson resetting and to keep him off balance. But again, not seeking to win, just attempting not to get knocked out. Big right hand affects Rebel. Left hook that touches Rebel on the chin from Nelson. Attempt to lead right, but miss from Rebel.
Especially when your opponent is that tall and lanky, right? And he's so, so low to the ground, Nelson is. It's definitely a height advantage for Montgomery.
Double jab, missed the cross. Nelson, the jab lands into round 7. Definite Nelson round. 7-0. 3 to go.
Last preliminary bout on the Spence versus Crawford preliminary card.
Wow, we almost there. Make sure y'all shop usualsuspect6.com. Go to the Combat Tool Bag collection. Get you some Combat Tool Bag gear. Check out the Hustle God series on Amazon.com. It's a financial literacy series. Financial literacy series, on Amazon.com. You can type in Michelangelo Turner. You can type in Hustle God series. And text 412-939-7737 to book you some personal training. We have online personal training, training for kids. We have self-defense. We have private and group session personal training. At the top of round number 8, Nelson versus Rebel. Nelson jabs low, jabs high, and then hooks high. He lands with the hook at the end. The ref stops the fight real quick, time, checks the eye, and then calls time in. He's seen a clash of heads. And then a pushing jab. Whoa. Thank you. A pushing jab. Nelson pushed Montgomery down, and the ref on the side, ringside, started counting, but the ref in the ring didn't count it. Jab cross misses from Nelson. Double jab from Montgomery, comes up short. 1, 2, 3 misses for Nelson. Jab, check hook, 1, 2, just grazing lands for Montgomery. Missed left hook for Nelson. Body shot from Montgomery. Check hook from Nelson.
Yeah, you can see he's moving a little bit.
Good. Double jab right hand upstairs, and the body shots land for Nelson to Montgomery.
And there is blood trickling down over the left.
Big left hook on Montgomery from Nelson. And he's attempting to walk him down. Another big left hook from Nelson. Right hand from Nelson. Another left hook, but both left hooks missed. Where we at? Nelson, another left hook lands. Another left hook lands. And they tent and they clinch. And they clinch. Sub to the channel, family. Sub to the channel, family. He hit him with a left hook and a right hand. And he reached for 2 right hands after. Montgomery returns with an uppercut that misses. They're on the inside, and he attempts a left hook that lands on Montgomery. A right hand that lands on Montgomery, and a right that misses to the body on Montgomery. 2 upstairs from Nelson.
Keep asking for that 2 and 3. Yeah.
Jab cross from Nelson. Double jab on jabs, backing him up Montgomery just to keep him away. Check hook attempt with Montgomery. Looks like he landed. And a 1-2 lands clearly. Looks like Montgomery's about to get stopped. He pawed out the eye and then got punched from Nelson. He's fighting back now. He's shooting short uppercuts on the inside. Good little body shots. Good shuffle hooks to the body. Good shuffle hooks to the body. Jabs came up short. Nelson is throwing in combinations, but he's not throwing accurately. And Montgomery is throwing accurately, but he's not committing to any shot. There he is. 1-2. A cross and a left hook from Nelson against the ropes of Rebel. He has Rebel against the ropes, and he lands a cross and a left hook cleanly. He has him pressed against the ropes. Montgomery fires an uppercut, backs him up off of him. End of round 8.
Round to score that time for Steven Nelson. 2 more in the books here. Actually, 2 more left.
Sub to the channel, family. Please sub to the channel. This is the biggest fight in the century. The biggest fight in the century. Support. Buy the pay-per-view. If you cannot watch the fight, listen in. If you can watch the fight, listen in. Here's some better commentators. Some better commentary. But it looks like it might be 8-0 Nelson with 2 rounds to go. But if anything, I think some of the judges may give 1 round to Rebel Legend. But he's cut, and Nelson is appearing to somewhat fatigue. So it's starting to get kind of interesting. I wouldn't say even, but kind of interesting. Nelson counters with a double left hook to Rebel. Sub to the channel, please. Sub to the channel. Thank you very much. Tap the like button while you're here. Lobbying for center ring. Feinting is Nelson. Pawing with the jab is Nelson.
Especially since Montgomery's best round was when they were brawling.
Pawing with the jab are both guys.
That they make you do through the course of a bout, but even then, do that on your terms, not theirs.
2-3 comes up short. That's the right hand or left hand, rear hand, and the lead hook. Both misses for Nelson. Paw and jab. Catches the shot. Double jab, just touching with Nelson, and it's literally just touching. It's like he's not a super middleweight punching you. Jab cross from Nelson. Steady movement from Montgomery, getting out of dodge. Jab cross from Nelson. Lead cross from Montgomery. Comes up short with the shot.
Without a doubt, Nelson's best moment.
Double jab cross from Steven Nelson.
So if he can move the action there, like right here, I think he'll have great success.
Lobbying for center ring, but it looks like he's not even attempting to act reacher. Appreciate you coming by, bro. Just doing a fight call, little fight party. Appreciate your support. Tap that like button if you can for me, brother. If you ain't subbed to the channel, please sub. We're doing a fight call. We round 9. Nelson lands with the lead overhead, with a lead right, reaching, lunging right, but lands on Montgomery. Montgomery's using very survivalistic lateral movement, and he's doing his job for someone who took this fight at short notice. Appreciate everybody who stopped by and poked their head in the screen door. Double jab cross from Nelson on Montgomery. Montgomery backsteps and then rolls with the following lead right hand of Nelson. Power jab lands for Nelson. Following jab comes up short, and then he doubles the jab and shoots across. That falls a bit too short. Right hand lands for Montgomery.
Other southpaws as a southpaw.
Right.
So I think he'll fight southpaw.
Okay.
Lunging with the right is Nelson. Coming up tad short.
Because remember, one of the things that makes open stance, that's when you have southpaw.
They are clinched in the middle of the ring, separated by the ref. Jab from Montgomery, triple jab from Nelson, missing the right hand. That finishes the combo. Couple throwaway punches and lands a leaping jab, does Nelson. And into the inside, he attempts to shoot to the body and a left hook. And then a right hand up top, but everything missing for the most part. Good movement by Montgomery. We got 1 round left. I give it a easy sweep for Nelson, 9-0. If I'm being honest, I haven't seen 1 round that Montgomery won. But for a guy who took this fight short notice, I guess for a moral victory, a guy who took this fight short notice is doing everything not to get knocked out, and is actually landing in a spotty every few rounds or every few moments. Shows that he can fight. He's just not prepared for this. He was not prepared for this fight. And I do also think that Nelson, again, he hasn't displayed me a supreme enough engine to have the game plan that he had, and that's kind of to press this guy out and get him out of there, especially not to have the power on his punches or the torque on his punches. It looks like he's seeking to knock this guy out, but not doing so and not having enough oomph to do so. So I called possibly a stoppage in the last round, but it's not looking like he has enough to get Montgomery out of here, unless he completely overwhelms him. And he's slippery. Back to the blow-by-blow, double jab, miss. It was a post jab and then cross. But he's tussling on the inside. He's trying to get busy as Nelson.
I'm just going to leave that one alone.
And Montgomery eats a right hand from Nelson. Miss right hand, miss left hook from Nelson, but Nelson is throwing. Left hook from Montgomery, uppercut from Nelson. Trade jabs. Nelson's backing him up with jabs and lands a right hand. Not flush, just touching. Lands a lead right hand and it buzzes Montgomery. Sends him right back to the ropes. But Montgomery is here. He was trying to show him that he wasn't buzzed at all, and then Nelson wrestled him to the ground. And then Montgomery throws a lead left hook to show him he's still here. You got work. Montgomery is kind of leaning over to his right, which is opening him up for an uppercut for Nelson. Look for the left uppercut. They're trading shots here in the middle of the ring. Nelson is getting the better of the underhooks, the shuffle hooks. And he has Rebel backed up against the ropes and just touching him. Lands a nice left hand, a sneaky left hand after a clinch. And just reaching, just pawing with his jab just to keep Rebel from resetting, but actually nowhere near his face. And Rebel's throwing one shot for every 10 punches that Nelson has. So Rebel's far behind in punch output. Nelson is turning up the volume, which I think he should have done a lot sooner, and he possibly could have stopped the guy. But getting buzzed like he did, it showed he might have got worried about the guy's power. But he's finishing strong. He's pawing with the jab. He's keeping it in his face and just throwing, trying to take whatever's available. He's not even throwing with enough conviction to try to take the liver or anything. He's just throwing throwaway punches, oddly enough. Can honestly say, having this being my first time seeing Nelson, I'm not at all impressed. I can say Nelson is a good fighter. He's clearly a good boxer, but clearly not a puncher. And had a strategy of that of a puncher coming into this fight, so it's kind of contradictory. Why, if you're a brawler, why try to outbox someone? If you're a puncher, why try to outbox someone? Why not deceive them and steal organs? And here we have a guy who doesn't have very much of any punching power, and he was double jab cross as if that was going to stop this guy or overwhelm this guy, and clearly that's not how he's gotten to where he is as an undefeated fighter. Clearly it was on the stick and move, hit and don't get hit end of things. There's no reason he should be attempting to, if you will, to diminish his performance in some way, or even uplift, depending on how you look at it. Try to fight like Bud. It looked like he tried to walk the guy down and beat the guy up, but that's not what he's physically capable for. That's not what so-called Nelson is built for. But we have a landslide, a wash, and it's weird to say that you could watch a wash and be completely unimpressed, you know? I mean, you typically see a wash and you're like, that confirms someone's level of greatness, but not see a wash and you're like, shit, I don't think anyone has to worry about that guy, you know? And I don't mean to speak harshly. But again, I appreciate everybody who's stopping by and stopped by thus far. Please tap the like button, sub to the channel. Share the live if you have the time. Please buy the fight. Support these fighters. Buy their merch. Send them well wishes on their social media. The best man will win tonight, regardless of who you are rooting for, who I am rooting for. Enjoy the greatest night in boxing in years. So we're almost finished with this prelim, guys. Almost finished with the prelim and moving on to the rest. Stick around with us, guys. Bear with us.
All three judges in agreement for your winner by unanimous decision. And now the WBA Continental America Super Middleweight Champion, Steven Soko Nelson.
It was cold out there. Dare I say, so very cold.
For YouTube prelims, I'm not even going to knock it. I ain't even going to knock it. For YouTube prelims, it's alright. It's alright. I've seen worse main card prelims, so I got to be honest. I've seen worse main card prelims than that. I can say though, Showtime, PBC, what's going on? Y'all stacked out Tank's pay-per-view. Y'all ain't got nobody on this. All y'all got is my man Nonito Donaire and Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, literally. You can't name nobody else on this shit. You got Pitbull Cruz, but who? I mean, you got Pitbull Cruz, I guess, but shit. Y'all ain't stacked this card out how y'all did that Tank Davis card. What's up with that, PBC? Talk to me. Showtime, huh? But yeah, like, we got some work coming. We got some work coming up. This shit about to get active. This main card about to start. We about to transition
147. Let's
into
talk about
calling
the
the
fact
main
that this
card.
isn't a fight for undisputed, because boxing,
About to be crazy,
the belts have
y'all.
been split for what, like 60 years
About to
now.
be
It's a very
crazy,
fragmented
y'all.
sport. We do have 3 undisputed
Shout out to the mighty
champions currently. We've got
LDBC.
Canelo,
Shout out to the
Jamal Charlo, Devin
TWT,
Haney.
the
But
Trill,
what value do you
the
assign to
Trilletary,
having one
the whole Trill
champion in a
family.
division?
Well,
Shout
first of all,
out
this will be
to the
first
Code
ever
Black
four-belt era at
community, the
147. There's 2
CBC.
things that I love so much about
It's
this.
a
Number
cool
1,
black affair,
this
you
will be
dig?
tonight the
And you
6th
are,
undisputed
again, reaching
champion
in your
crowned since
combat tool bag
2021.
one more
That
again.
means big fights are being made. That means
Stick
the
with me,
fights that
y'all.
we
It's
want
going
to see
down.
are happening. That is tremendous. And how many times do the casual fans say, you know when they go like, and still or and new, and we don't even know who the champion is going into the fight because the belts mean nothing? I love the fact that the belts mean something in this fight, right? It feels to me like we're in a moment right now where boxing and boxers are trying to make the belts, the divisions, everything mean something. When it was so fragmented
That's it for the
and watered
prelim
down,
card,
it
y'all.
was all sort of,
It's all,
it was all sort of like
it's all
by the
big time
wayside.
now.
And how about
It's
the
all
fact
big time now.
that
We
on
all
a
moving
night
to the
where there's
main
a
card,
case
y'all.
of belt being defended or introduced in Salt Lake City, there's a real
Everybody who
championship
stopped by,
fight right here in
everybody, I
Las
appreciate
Vegas.
all y'all. Love all y'all.
I get it. I understand.
Sub to the channel.
Here's
Tap
what
that like
here's
button,
what I would
family.
say.
You know what I'm saying? You
What's
know what time it
better
is.
than one face,
But
one name,
we're gonna prep for this
one division?
this
You
main
know who
card.
the guy is. Whether
Y'all
the
know how I do. I
WBA
mainly
or
just call the
WBC or
prelim.
whatever.
So
Again, I'm not here
I'm gonna
to
jump
or
off
say
and
one
enjoy
guy
this
knows more than the
motherfucking
other,
fight.
but it's hard for the average
You know, with
public
the
to know the
family.
difference between them.
Y'all
But if
enjoy
it's
this
one
fight.
guy, well, then it's easy.
Support
That's
this
the first good
fight.
part about
It's
it.
the
The
best
second
fight
good
in the
part about
best.
it is
I got
look at how
EJ,
important
Mr.
it is
Man
to
down
win
the biggest.
this division.
Yeah,
Errol
man.
Spence has not fought in another
Late
division. And if he beats
rounds,
Terrence
TKO,
Crawford
10,
tonight,
11, or 12. I ain't
Super Bowl
decided.
as the very
Or
best
I got him by
pound-for-pound
decision.
fighter in the entire sport.
And
So to do that
if
in
Bud
this
win,
place, and
it's
I know
because
you
EJ had a lack of
it's never happened
focus,
before in this particular
or
weight class. We're just talking about achievement
Bud
that is so
Bud's
hard,
speed was too much, or
historically
he
difficult to
countered
unlock.
him and
You're gonna see it here tonight.
took
You guys talking
that
about
guy's
Bad
senses
Bunny,
away.
and I
But
didn't know.
either way,
Would
the
have
best
had no
is
idea
fighting
that
the
you're a
best,
Bad
and the
Bunny
best
fan.
man
When you're
will
talking
win.
about the Bad Bunny
And
ring
what's
entrance,
best for
maybe think
boxing
about how
will
epic of
happen.
a ring entrance
Salute
we
to
could have
y'all. Y'all
in store for
successfully
you guys to
reaching
have
y'all
tonight.
combat tool bag one more
We're
again.
hearing
Till
the
next time,
rumors are
guys.
that
Deuces.
We're hearing.
maybe Eminem. If you didn't see the whole exchange that happened on Instagram earlier.